I got you.
Alright, creatures of the night, welcome to episode 156 of Talking Taker, our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time, The Undertaker. My name is Alex Dorio. I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking. And I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, my fellow creature of the night, La Flama Blanca, the White Flame himself, Mr. Travis White. Travis, tonight we are talking Elimination Chamber 2010, and The Undertaker is going into the chamber to defend his title, and he is going to have a fire lit underneath him like never before. Wouldn't you say?
like never before. He's gonna go in there, completely lit. You know, that's the new saying. Well, I guess it's probably an old saying nowadays for the youngsters, but for me, it's new. Yeah, this guy's going in lit.
He's on fire.
And I ain't talking about my own worst enemy lit. I'm talking about lit up.
Big lit fan over there, huh?
No, those guys reeked, man. They had what, 2 songs that were on the air?
On the air, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I had that CD though.
You did.
I spun it. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
They made me completely miserable. But The Undertaker, like we said, heading into the Elimination Chamber. To quote Garth Brooks, life is not tried, it is merely survived if you're standing outside the fire.
Exactly.
So Undertaker's going to step into the flames. We will talk about that. Incredibly memorable incident where Undertaker suffers severe burns before heading into the chamber to defend his title against Chris Jericho, R-Truth, John Morrison, and CM Punk and Rey Mysterio. There we go. I think that was all 5 of them.
A couple of those things are not like the other, too.
You know, it's a unique match. Only time we'll talk about John Morrison and R-Truth on this show, so pretty interesting. Unfortunately, he won't interact with R-Truth. Spoiler alert. He does not last long in the chamber, but we do get to see him in there with JoMo, so that's pretty neat.
Yep.
And of course, this is our last stop, our final speed bump on the road to WrestleMania 26, which will be next week's special episode. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that one, the sequel to WrestleMania 25, and so the build up into that, Shawn Michaels trying to make that match happen. We'll be talking about that a lot tonight as well.
Oh, yeah, we got it. Again, like we mentioned last week, all this Shawn stuff weeds in and out since December, since the Slammies, so... And, of course, this story's been playing out since basically 2007 or even going back to 97. It's great. We'll get to more of that next week. But anyway, good stuff there.
The best long-term story in The Undertaker's career, probably. Maybe one of the best in WWE history here. So there's a lot of ground to cover. Let's dive right into it. Take this time traveling hearse all the way back to February of 2010. We last left off with that Royal Rumble, Undertaker successfully defending his World Championship against Rey Mysterio in their one and only pay-per-view match, a very fun one, if you've never seen that one. And then, of course, Shawn Michaels trying desperately to win the Rumble so he could earn the right to face Undertaker at WrestleMania, slipping off the edge of his fingertips, off the ropes. They're not quite making it in there. So those are our main stories going in here. Into Raw on February 1st, 2010. And as we mentioned last week, this is a very special one for us because we were there live and in person in Nashville, Tennessee at the former Sommet Center, now the Bridgestone Arena. We came up there to visit you, Travis, after you chased that woman up there to Nashville.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had been in Nashville, got married in August, and you guys, this is the first chance we had to have you guys come up and see us. So we were still in our apartment at this point. So we had a lot of beef in this apartment.
Yeah, we did
this weekend. Yeah, because you came up and our buddies Josh and Chuck came up, and love them to death. But some big beefy boys.
Two heavyweights, for sure. And look, like we said, we skipped the Royal Rumble, which was actually in Atlanta, closer to us. But we came up there for Raw. Always fun to go see that live show.
Baby.
Absolutely. And drove through a snowstorm. I mean, it was snowing there, ice on the roads. But we went to our favorite Nashville restaurant, Demas's. If you've never been to Nashville, you got to go. Steak and spaghetti, man.
Absolutely. Not together, but yeah.
It is together.
Or you can. Yeah. I mean, not steak spaghetti, though. Yeah. Not like steak spaghetti, but yeah.
But you get a steak
downtown.
and pasta,
Whew,
that sweet tea with the syrup.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness,
Maybe want to go visit Mole Stomping Grounds.
And it's so cheap. It's not expensive, but it's quality. It's good. I love
it's like the price of an Applebee's, but it's got the quality of a, I don't know,
of a Ruth Chris, yeah. So we had to get that. I guess that was our first time. That was you took us there for the first time, so that was delightful. We kind of celebrated my birthday a little bit, since it will be a spoiler on Friday when we cover SmackDown here on that show. So we did that. Our buddy Josh forgot his ID, so we couldn't go anywhere downtown and hang out. But that's fine.
Show you guys the places we can go hang out.
We're not,
go there.
We've never been real party animals. Never been real club guys anyway. But and the other thing we forgot to do was buy tickets to this episode of Raw.
Yeah, exactly. We thought, we'll just get them down there. It's Nashville. It's not even, surely they won't be sold out. We'll just get tickets at the box office.
Big mistake,
not
man.
So fast, my friend.
I guess everyone wanted to see William Shatner, WWE legend, host Monday Night Raw that night, because they were sold out. But we did buy some off some scalpers. I don't think we paid too much. I think probably just regular face value, just enough. But we did get inside and check those numbers on that ticket. Took the stairs, took the escalator, and made it all the way, literally, to the top of the Bridgestone Arena, the SoMe Center at the time. No joke, we were in the absolute last row. We could touch the ceiling, our back up against the wall. But it's a wrestling show, man. It doesn't matter if you're in the top seat or the front seat. It's going to be a good time. You've always got a good view of the ring there. So it was a blast. It was incredibly hot. That was all I remember about being up there in the top row. We all had, like I said, it was a snowstorm, so we had these big jackets on and flannel and fleece and everything, and we sat up there in that top row, and just eventually by the end of the show we were down to our t-shirts. And
exactly.
It was so warm up there.
Probably rolled up my corduroy pants legs or something too, man. It was so hot up there. Golly. But yeah, literally backs against the wall, man. It was amazing, though. I wouldn't have it any other way, man. That was a fun night.
Absolutely not. We had a blast. And I'll post some pictures of that up on our social media.
Yeah.
I took a few that night on my low-quality camera back in 2010. But some good pictures of us, some throwbacks of us there at the show. Undertaker, not on this show, but a couple things that play into the Undertaker Shawn Michaels storyline here. Triple H confronts Shawn Michaels, and he acts like he's going to get mad at him and fight about Shawn eliminating him in the Royal Rumble last night. But then he just kind of laughs it off. He's like, I would have done the same thing if I were you.
Yeah.
But Shawn is not in a joking mood. He's really upset that he lost his opportunity, and Triple H tries to give him a pep talk and just encourages him to go out there, win your Elimination Chamber qualifying match tonight. And then the two of us, we can go on and WrestleMania main event against each other at WrestleMania. So Shawn does have a Elimination Chamber qualifying match against Randy Orton. Good long match with these two here. And Shawn goes for the kip up and kind of slips as he's doing it. And as he does so, Randy Orton rolls him up and gets the victory on him. So kind of a creative finish. I really like that there. Mm-hmm. And it just furthers this storyline of Shawn just being distraught, off his game. He tosses off his DX sweatbands and armbands and leg bands and silly bands and everything he's got on, and just walks to the back with his head down. Just great acting from Shawn Michaels. I just can't put over enough how excellent it's not just his in-ring work, his actual performance as this character, this sports entertainment aspect of it is just off the charts good.
It really is, man. Yeah, it's just a study. Just young guys need to just look at this stuff. It's not just again, he is arguably one of the greatest in-ring competitors of all time, but it's not that makes him so good. It's everything else outside the ring and the little nuances and the acting. Just it's spot on, man. He's so great.
Yeah, it's something a lot of guys today could learn a lesson from because, I mean, everyone says it. The people who wrestle in 2020, they're 10 times the athletes that wrestlers were 10, 20 years ago. I will never deny that. But as far as performers go, as far as sports entertainers go, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of guys could learn from watching Shawn Michaels. And it's a good thing he's in NXT trying to teach them.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So later on in the night, Triple H again is going to meet up with Shawn, try to give him a pep talk, tell him, you did your best tonight. It's not the end of the world. Move on. You're Mr. WrestleMania. You don't need The Undertaker for that. You could take your pick of any guy to compete with at WrestleMania. There's plenty of other fish in the sea. And Shawn just looks up at Hunter and says to him,
"You do not need The Undertaker for that, okay? There are plenty of other guys for you to compete with at WrestleMania." Not for me.
Something's plotting in Shawn Michaels' mind. He's got to find a way to get in there with The Undertaker at WrestleMania as we move on to SmackDown.
Yeah, he's obsessed. He's consumed, man. So that's going to be the narrative we keep going forward with. So, yeah, let's fast forward to SmackDown that week. You guys did not stay the whole week at my house. You stayed. Did y'all go back Tuesday morning, I guess?
I think we went back the next day. Yep, it was just one night.
Just a quick trip. But anyway, it's better than nothing, and we have a few more trips you guys took up there our way that we'll probably share eventually. But anyway, this is on your 24th birthday, man. February 5th, 2010. So happy birthday. You get SmackDown.
I don't remember what I was doing on my 24th birthday, but I don't think I was watching the Friday Night SmackDown.
You don't know what you're doing. You can guarantee what you were not
I guarantee you it was not that.
Yeah. Well, we find out that this episode, for your birthday, you're going to get the first episode back of The Cutting Edge.
All right.
Since Edge went out with his Achilles tendon. And his first guest is going to be The Undertaker. So,
I'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You will undertake that. So, Elimination Chamber match is also set for the World Heavyweight title, so Taker's automatically qualified for it. Doesn't have to have a qualifying match. So, just like on Raw, we're going to get some qualifying matches here. For some reason, one of them's a three-way.
Right.
It's JoMo, John Morrison versus Kane versus Intercontinental Champion Drew McIntyre. And JoMo wins. And
How is
I don't
that
know why.
fair?
This is the only three-way. I don't know. And then R-Truth defeats Mike Knox, who I forgot was still employed by World Wrestling Entertainment at this point. Punk defeats Batista. Really cool spot here, man. Their match is going to go start, and Big Dave just stands there and just walks away. Like, he just gets out of the ring and just leaves. Like, it's such a talk about good acting.
He's so good.
His heel work is superb here.
It's phenomenal. Yeah,
and it's a great heel. That's something that's old school right there. Just leave, something only like a guy like Jericho does that stuff nowadays. But anyway, it was just really cool. Jericho defeats Matt Hardy to qualify because the Hardys never do anything. And then Ray defeats Dolph Ziggler. So that's how everybody qualifies this one night. So much for long-term storytelling. We'll just blow it all in one night.
Knock it all out. That's right.
Knock it all out. So the Cutting Edge segment, or actually earlier on the show, Chris Jericho opens the show complaining about how Edge came in the Rumble and it was unfair, and cuts a promo, and then he goes to the back to talk to Teddy Long, but Edge is sitting there in Teddy's office, and Jericho says that, Edge is going to regret coming back, and Edge cuts him off and says that Jericho's going to regret it, and tells him he's going to have his old friend, The Undertaker, on the Cutting Edge tonight, which we already had seen in the opening graphic, so it wasn't even like a surprise. I don't know what the point of it was, but anyway, planting seeds for Edge and Jericho at WrestleMania, which I was super hyped to see. cutting edge segment. I believe it's the main event here. Edge comes out to host it. Good pop. Comes back to his show, SmackDown, and talks about his recovery and says, I won the Royal Rumble, so I could face The Undertaker again at WrestleMania, or I could face, Sheamus, who got my face on Raw. We get a replay of that, and Jericho comes out, and he gets in Edge's face, and they kind of go back and forth about how Edge eliminated him at Royal Rumble, which I always love. I know it's such an easy booking thing, but I love when somebody eliminates somebody at Royal Rumble, and that's the build to WrestleMania. I love that.
That's simple.
I love that. It's so simple. You deny me my chance at the world title. I hate you, and I want to go with you. It's so easy, but I love that booking. They go down their recent history since the injury and stuff like that, and then Edge says he wants to make Jericho eat his words with regards to making his injury into a punchline. He's sick of Jericho's face, just even seeing him. And then all of a sudden we hear CM Punk's music, and he comes out with the Straight Edge Society, and the crowd's chanting, "You suck," at him, and he's like, "No, you're wrong. I'm better than everyone here." So he says that,
"You two look like two pill-popping, tweaking junkies arguing over who's going to get that last fix."
And he's just, and some of this stuff that Punk's going to do in the next couple months is some of his just great heel work. Just really being despicable, and really I feel like Vince wasn't watching him at the time. He was just like letting him do his own thing, and because he's great, man, and Vince doesn't hold him back.
I think we talked about it a little bit. This is where he really found himself in this Straight Edge Society stuff.
Yep.
The stuff with Undertaker, I was not really feeling as much. I felt like he was kind of dragging, but now that he's fully embraced this cult leader, preacher, and he's got the followers behind him, I feel like he's really coming to his own as a heel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he'll go on to my opinion, be the heel of the year in 2010 and going into 11, honestly.
Yeah.
But anyway, we won't get to talk about him much more until we get to 2013. So anyway, he says that, you guys are missing the point. It's not about you. It's about the Elimination Chamber, and it's about The Undertaker. He said, who's had a bigger spotlight on him or with Taker than him? He says, Edge, while you were on vacation, I became the first superstar in history to make The Undertaker tap out, which, again, the video shows it really wasn't what happened. That was the whole, screw job. But why let that get in the way of a good story? When a heel tells it, they believe it. Well, that's great. I love it. So he says, neither one of you have ever done that, and neither one of you ever will. I'm better than you, and I'm going to win the Elimination Chamber to become the 4-time Straight Edge World Heavyweight Champion. And at this, we hear the gong. The Undertaker appears in the ring after the lights come back on. He goes after Punk and Gallows, and Edge goes after Jericho, and then Edge takes Jericho out of the ring, or knocks him out of the ring, and Punk gets a choke slam from Taker. Taker turns around, and Edge is kind of crouched in the corner doing his little spear, taunt, and Taker kind of steps back, and they stare at each other and circle the ring as the show goes off the air. So just teasing, what could become another main event at WrestleMania with Edge winning the Rumble if Taker, retains at Elimination Chamber. Good stuff.
That's kind of the deal on SmackDown over these next few weeks. They're going to be teasing a lot of different possibilities for Edge, and they kind of lean into Edge Undertaker, I guess, to kind of swerve people a little bit from that. So we'll go back over to Raw for Raw December 8th, 2010, to go back to the Shawn Michaels storyline. And DX is backstage, and Shawn says to Triple H, look, I want to apologize. I know I've been distracted with The Undertaker and this whole WrestleMania thing, and, I apologize for losing my cool last week, but I lost the Royal Rumble, and I lost my chance at the Elimination Chamber in 24 hours. So it was a rough night.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking the past week, and I realized something, that DX has never competed together at WrestleMania. So maybe at WrestleMania 26, maybe it's finally time for us to do that, because they are the tag team champions here at this point, and they're going to be defending their tag team titles here later on in the show. And Triple H is like, man, that sounds awesome, but Shawn, I did qualify for the Elimination Chamber. So I got to go to the Chamber, and I'm going to do what I've done more than anyone else, and that's win the Elimination Chamber and then main event WrestleMania. So he kind of pats Shawn on the back and walks off, and it's like, sorry, bud.
I think Triple H has won 4 at this point, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, 4 Elimination Chambers. So.
It's definitely his match more than anybody else's. So DX, they're going to face the Straight Edge Society of Punk and Gallows and Miz Show. Show Miz in this match tonight, who have to have. I know I said Jericho was one of the worst songs of all time. Show Miz takes the cake, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, awesome.
Awesome. Big Show. It's just that over.
Oh, man, it is so bad.
It's just Miz's song, but then every few seconds it says Big Show in the middle.
It's so bad. Imagine if they'd have been, well, it's the Miz Show.
That would have been better. But
it's awful.
Amazingly, Show Miz wins the tag team titles here because Shawn Michaels blind tags Triple H, and they argue for a second, and Miz rolls up Shawn Michaels to get a pin on him, which is hard to believe in 2010. Hard to believe in 2020 that the Miz pinned Shawn Michaels, and the crowd can't believe it here. Triple H and Shawn are in shock. So that's going to set Shawn Michaels off pretty much. He goes backstage and he's looking for him. He runs up to Carlito and Maria asking where he is. And I'm wondering, what is Carlito doing in this segment? But we'll find out in just a second.
He's not dressed like Napoleon Dynamite?
No, he's not doing that tonight. Shawn finally finds him, and it's a boy, Teddy Long. And Shawn grabs Teddy by the suit, and he's like, trade me to SmackDown. You have to trade me over to SmackDown and insert me into the Elimination Chamber so I can win the world title and defend it against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I don't think Shawn knows how trades work because Teddy can't trade Shawn. The Raw general manager would have to trade Shawn over to SmackDown, but whatever. He's insane. He's losing his mind. And Teddy says, well, what happened to DX? I thought you wanted to go to Mania with DX. And Shawn says, none of that matters anymore. I don't care about that. I only care about The Undertaker. And Triple H comes in and he's trying to calm Shawn down and tells him,
what are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? Is this obsession gone this far? You willing to throw DX away, huh? You willing to throw your career away? My career is over.
And then he super kicks Teddy Long, and if you'll notice, Carlito has moved into frame, and he is there to catch Teddy Long, so Teddy Long does not take a bump on the cement off of that super kick. So, little thing to look out for if you're paying attention. But then Shawn storms off out of the arena here. But this was great. I mean, again, they're just setting this up perfectly. Thinking back to 2010, you have no idea how Shawn's going to get his way into this WrestleMania match. The way they do it in Elimination Chamber is so creative and so unique, but you're left here hanging like, they got to find a way. What could it possibly be here? And Shawn has lost his mind. He's gone off his rocker. It's fantastic storytelling here.
Oh, yeah. It absolutely is. So really, really dig all this stuff. And that's taking us to February 12th, 2010, SmackDown. The opening graphic shows us that we're going to get Taker versus Jericho in a no DQ match. So, again, I want to reiterate, why could we never get this on pay-per-view? It's just like a SmackDown exclusive, only the SmackDown match. Like, we've had,
SmackDown special.
Third one?
Yeah.
In like 4 months.
I know.
Third one.
Over and over again.
Yeah, it's like Vince just forgot. They've never wrestled. And I was like, let's put them together on SmackDown 3 times in 3 months. It's like, dude, give us a build-up to a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Because these guys have great matches.
It's a shame.
Yeah. Well, Ray defeats CM Punk in the opening match. Good match. Again, these guys, I think they just have great chemistry, man.
It was a really good match. Really good TV match.
Really, really good. And immediately afterward, Luke Gallows attacks Mysterio, and then he and Punk leave Ray laying. I think Punk gets to go to sleep on him, maybe.
He does.
There, but we're talking about this because he's the opponent of Taker in the Elimination Chamber. So, JoMo is supposed to face R-Truth, but the match starts, and immediately John Morrison, quote unquote, tweaks his ankle, and the match is stopped and awarded to R-Truth. So, I think it's part of the storyline, but if not, I don't know what the deal is because it kind of plays into the Elimination Chamber. I think it's just a way to give him like he's got some steam. We don't want to take too much off of him, but let's give him something to like a crutch to lean on in case he so he doesn't take too many losses. I don't know.
It was really awkward.
Kind of weird.
Yeah. They didn't play it. Yeah, it was not built up enough to make it. Yeah, I don't know. It was just really weird. And like you said, it's going to come into play the next couple of weeks. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, it was weird. Well, then Edge comes out for another promo, and he says it's great to win the Royal Rumble. And one of the best parts is I don't have to compete in Elimination Chamber since I'm already going to WrestleMania. So he makes it sound a little more serious than that. But that's basically his gist. It's like I don't have to compete in this brutal match. And he goes through a list of people he could potentially face. He's like, I could face Randy Orton or John Cena or Rey Mysterio or CM Punk. I could face 12 different guys at WrestleMania. There are few people who have main evented and won at WrestleMania. Just a handful of people main evented it and a handful that have won that. And he says, however, there's only one guy that has won all of his WrestleManias, and that is The Undertaker. And he says, it's out of my hands who I face at WrestleMania, but next week I'm going to take on Batista. So, okay. And then Jericho comes out and interrupts because, again, we're building to that in the future here. And Jericho is just angry because Edge didn't have the decency to mention that he could face Jericho at WrestleMania. He, just completely glossed over that. So he's like, he says that he's Edge's bad luck charm. Whenever I'm around, you get hurt, basically, or something bad happens to you. So, I was there when you tore your Achilles. I don't know what – he has a great line here. He goes, I don't know what it's like to return from injury because I don't get injured. I just win championships and carry this entire company on my back. That's what you do when you're the best in the world. And I am the best in the world at what I do. And I just, really wanted to harp on that because it's true. Jericho's never been out with a major injury. I mean, he's taken time off, his little hiatuses, but he's never been off for injury. He's always been dependable. So, good stuff. But he tells Edge to spare the grief and choose the Raw winner of the Elimination Chamber because, you don't want to win. You don't want to face me because bad things happen, and they will continue to happen to you if you don't leave me alone. So he says, if you think you're lying, think I'm lying, watch what happens when I'm going to beat this so-called dead man who actually destroyed you at WrestleMania 2 years ago. So good point there, bringing that history in between Edge and Taker. So later on, Taker makes his entrance through the smoke and the flames. Well, not through the flame. We'll get to that at Elimination
Not
Chamber.
quite,
but yeah, through the smoke, rather. And Edge is going to join Todd Grisham and Matt Stryker on commentary. And I just noticed, I was watching this match. There's only about 9 minutes left in the show, and I was like, this is going to be a quick one.
Yeah, know something's up.
But it's good. Honestly, I liked how fast-paced this match was. And Edge is really good on commentary. He's like, this should be a main event of a WrestleMania. Thank you, Edge. I'd love that. We would love to have something like that.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah, but good, fast-paced match. I won't get into all of it, but basically, Edge is talking about, Taker's one of the guys that makes you better when you're in the ring with him and talks about his history. And they wind up making their way to the outside, and Jericho's by the announce table, and they go over there, and Taker comes over there and eyes Edge, and he nods at Edge as Edge stands up, just kind of to bow up against him. And Taker goes to throw Jericho back in the ring, but then turns around and just throws him across the table at Edge. Now, Edge moves out of the way, and he and Taker go nose-to-nose, staring at each other. And then Taker does pick Jericho up, tosses him into the ring. You think he's going to get back in the ring. Taker turns around and just boots Edge in the face. It's kind of bullying him don't test me. Don't step to me, boy. So boots Edge in the face. They go back in the ring. Jericho removes the turnbuckle pad, winds up going headfirst into it in a minute. Taker goes for a last ride, hits it, but Taker's going to turn around into a spear from Edge. So Edge has gotten in the ring at this point, and then Taker's going to sit up and glare at Edge, who left the ring. And again, this is no DQ match for no reason other than the fact that we've got to get to this ending.
That's
match,
literally
basically.
it.
Yeah. So he goes to pick Jericho up, but Jericho hits a code breaker and gets a pinfall victory over Taker. I mean, I wouldn't call it clean because Edge speared him, but still, no
big deal.
No big deal here, and Jericho's celebrating with his arm raised, and Taker's just livid in the ring there. So again, you can kind of think we're building, like you said, to Edge and Taker. So.
Yeah, and like you said, no DQ for no reason. I mean, if I'm in a no DQ match, I'm heading outside. I'm going under the ring. I'm getting a chair. I'm getting a table. I'm going like no mercy and just pull it. Yeah, I'm just pulling weapons out from under the ring, getting the bouquet of roses, everything I can get out of there. But not these guys.
Absolutely.
They just have a normal match till Edge interferes. So.
Yep.
So, nothing happening on Raw. Shawn Michaels mysteriously conspicuous by his absence on Monday Night Raw. So we'll move over to SmackDown on February 19th, 2010. The short build-up to Elimination Chamber. This will be the go-home show here. And fancy Chris Jericho, as you put it in your notes, opens up this show. He's in his three-piece suit, looking good. He comes out basically bragging about all his accomplishments, that he's made a career of accomplishing insurmountable odds. He defeated The Rock and Steve Austin in the same night. He defeated Shawn Michaels in a ladder match. Last week, he defeated The Undertaker. And so he shows a replay of him hitting that code breaker and pinning The Undertaker, and, conveniently leaves out Edge spearing The Undertaker. Well, Edge has a problem with that, so he interrupts and says Chris is not pointing out all the facts, and he shows the replay of Edge interfering and helping Chris Jericho win that match, basically.
As I'm watching Jericho do that and show the replay without the spear, I'm imagining in my head, imagine Bobby Heenan on commentary. What he would add so much to that. I'd be like, see, you did it right there. Heenan would make that so good. That's such a heel move. I love it, man. Sorry, I just had to interject there. I hear Heenan in my head making it great.
Instead, we're stuck with Matt Stryker.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pining for something better.
Yes, anything. Literally anything. Well, they go back and forth. They argue about each other, saying one's not as good as the other one is. Jericho says he's going to win the Elimination Chamber, and when he does, Edge needs to stay away from him and just go face the winner of the Raw Elimination Chamber. And Edge kind of throws back to 2007 when he was facing Undertaker and was bringing that Joker-style character into things. Or was that? That'd be 2008. Excuse me. Yeah, 2008. Yeah, sort of that Dark Knight, Heath Ledger, Joker craziness here. And says he wants to knock out Jericho, gets in Jericho's face, and they're forehead to forehead. And then, interestingly, the lights begin to flicker on and off. And as they do that, Jericho gets distracted, and Edge hits a spear on him to leave him laying there. So that's going to kind of be a theme going on through the night. Some technical difficulties, I guess sort of like we saw on Raw this past week.
Raw Underground, maybe.
That's it.
Knockdown Underground.
Massive Tool Josh Matthews interrupts Rey Mysterio backstage, saying he doesn't want to interrupt. Yeah. Rey says, look, I took a beating last week from Punk and Gallows, and I'll definitely take a beating in the Elimination Chamber, but I'll still walk out as the world champion. And then we get a promo for your boy, Travis. Ezekiel Jackson, the final ECW champion, is coming to SmackDown soon as ECW is closing up shop.
Yeah, I think they folded right around this time.
Yep.
Because NXT debuts shortly after this, I think the next week. So, yeah, a couple weeks ago on Raw, they announced that, ECW is folding and they're going to be drafted to Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that and introduce NXT. And anyway, so, yeah, Big Zeke, the guy almost got put through a table by if I'd have spoken up a little louder back in March before the world shut down. But, yeah, he's coming to SmackDown. I can't believe that guy's the last WWE ECW champion.
Oh, what a joke.
The real last ECW champion is my boy Rhino. My real boy, Rhino.
No, not Christian?
No, I mean the real ECW champion.
Original classic ECW.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, go listen to our WrestleMania 28 episode, or we have a vlog on our YouTube channel as well detailing Travis almost getting knocked out by Ezekiel Jackson at a convention in New York pre-pandemic. So later on the night, Massive Tool Josh Matthews is going to talk to John Morrison, ask him about how his ankle is doing, and JoMo says, look, I've waited for this opportunity ever since my Tough Enough days, and if anyone thinks a tweaked ankle is going to keep me out of the chamber, they can think again. R-Truth interrupts, two guys still on the modern-day roster right here.
Yeah.
Says, if becoming world champion means I have to go through you, John, then I'm going to do what I have to do. But tonight, we're going to team up to defeat CM Punk and Luke Gallows. And then they do some, you can't see it because it's a podcast, but I'm going to do air quotes and say comedy here. And it was painful to watch. Like, R-Truth is hilarious, legitimately.
Oh, yeah.
But not in this moment, and not with John Morrison. It was so painfully awkward.
But tonight, me and you got straight edge society. I just want to make sure that we on the same page. You know what I'm saying?
Tonight, we're going to be like two peas in a pot.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Tonight, we're going to beat CM Punk in the straight edge society. Old Lukey Luke.
Lukey Luke.
It's going to be more entertaining than a slam dunk competition. More invigorating than a downhill Olympic ski event. And even better to watch than Chris Jericho in the morning before he finds his hair gel. I promise you that.
That's what's up.
Yeah, JoMo was very stiff back in those days. I mean, he's still awkward now, but I like him better now. When he's with Miz and stuff. But yeah, this was not classic funny R-Truth stuff. So this was rotten.
It was bad. On the flip side, CM Punk is gonna cut a solid promo as he comes out. He's gonna vow to become straight edge champion and convert everyone in the crowd to straight edge. So Punk and Gallows face Morrison and Truth. In the middle of the match, flames erupt at the top of the stage, and I don't know, man. I guess this pyro guy's got an itchy trigger finger. Dude, he's just it's a precursor to Elimination Chamber here.
Maybe it's Deuce. He's back.
Revenge.
I'll get my revenge. Yeah, he does have an itchy trigger finger.
Yeah, man.
Getting ready for Sunday.
The announcers assume this is The Undertaker making a statement during this match to his fellow competitors. And then once again, this ankle injury for JoMo plays into things. Punk attacks it, and Charles Robinson just calls the match off and says he's unable to compete. And then Punk and Gallows just lay out Truth after the match, beat him up. Rey Mysterio comes in, makes the save. He's going ham on Gallows and Punk, but Punk ends up taking him out. And they double team Rey, leave him and Truth and Morrison all laying. So Punk looking super strong going into the chamber. He just laid out 3 of the other competitors in the match, man.
You know, if you'd have told me 10 years ago in this match, 3 of those guys would still be, or 4, including Rey, would still be wrestling, and 1 would not, I would not have chosen Punk to be the one not wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
I would have said maybe Gallows or R-Truth would not have been wrestling anymore.
Right.
Not like, because Truth is like 100
it's like
years
50,
old.
yeah.
And Gallows looks 50. So, but he's got a new career in Impact, and R-Truth, like I said, new 24/7 champion. No, Akira Tozawa is. Anyway, R-Truth will probably be by the time this podcast drops. JoMo, still former SmackDown Tag Team Champion just a few weeks ago, and Punk is not the one wrestling. So,
man,
who
Gallows just headlined a pay-per-view this past weekend.
he did in a boneyard match. Well, we'll keep it at that. I did not watch that, nor will I, but I'm sure it was hilarious. Randy Orton put it over on Twitter, so it must be funny.
I was real close to ordering it. I'd had a few to drink, and I was this close.
I think they had too, if I'm not mistaken.
So the main event, like you mentioned, is going to be Edge and Batista tonight. They teased that last week. And Edge gives Batista a spear. When the gong hits, lights go off, lights come back on. Undertaker is in the ring. He's got Edge in the goozle. Gives Edge a choke slam as retribution for last week for that spear. And Batista gets the heck out of Dodge. He heads to the back. As Undertaker's music is playing, the lights go down. You think the show is over. Undertaker heads to the top of the ramp. He does the look back to Edge as the flames go off. He raises up the fist. But out of nowhere, Chris Jericho pops in, hits the code breaker on Edge. He raises his hand in the air, stares down the Undertaker, does the old discount double check, belt motion, and Undertaker does the throat slash back at Jericho as we head off the air into the pay-per-view. Like we said, we're teasing all sorts of different possibilities for what WrestleMania could look like here. Undertaker and Jericho, maybe. Edge, Jericho, Batista in there, Punk. Who knows what's going to happen as we go to Elimination Chamber February 21st, 2010.
Well, speaking of Punk, on that right before that match you just talked about, Edge says because Big Dave goes to leave the match beforehand, like he did against CM Punk, and Edge is like, "No, get back in here." He says,
I'm pulling your Punk card, Dave. Why don't you get back in here right now?
"Get back in here right now."
Oh, I
and
missed
so
that.
Edge pulled it, man.
Yes.
So good. So good. So yeah, kudos to Edge for winning the Rumble and pulling Batista's Punk card. Right
Bingo.
here. So yeah, so good, man.
Thank
So
you
good.
for
But yeah,
catching that.
brings us to Elimination Chamber. So the fire guy's going to have his Punk card pulled.
Fired guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to go the route of Domino or Deuce, whatever his name is. So, oh man. Anyway.
Brian started the fire.
Exactly. Oh, this is February 21st, 2010 from the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis, Missouri. Gateway to the West? Is that what they call Missouri?
Okay.
I think so. This is the first ever Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, although I forgot and thought last year's was, but that's just the No Way Out, right? But
Right, they've done
Elimination
that
Chamber
for a few
is-
years.
Yeah.
It's been Elimination Chamber in February, but yeah, they changed the name
Yeah.
officially to Elimination Chamber this year, and it's
Yeah.
one of those ones like TLC and Hell in a Cell, still going strong to this day.
And for some reason, they didn't do one in 2016. They've done
That's
every
weird.
year except that. And I think that year they did fast lane, something like that. Fast lane, I think, was the one in between. Or maybe it was No Way Out again. I don't know, but they didn't do a Elimination
Roadblock?
Chamber that year.
Was that Roadblock that
may
year?
have been, I don't know. One year they did 2 roadblocks. Anyway, I don't know. Something like that. So yeah, 2016 is the only year they skipped it. But other than that, man, still going strong. And again, I think you and I agree. Like, we love this match. We love these shows. We love these. But, like, just shoehorning them in because it's that time of the year is just stupid.
I actually
The
I
only
don't,
thing. Okay,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think I'm going to agree with you. Go ahead.
I don't mind it for this one as much because it's like I do wish they only did one. I wish
Yes.
like whoever chose to do whoever wins the Royal Rumble, they pick their brand, and then the other brand does Elimination Chamber for the world title shot. I wish
Sure,
that was
exactly.
all they did.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I wouldn't mind. I don't actually mind this one as much as the rest because it, there is, like you said, there is still a championship up for, grabs. So, yeah, that wouldn't be a big deal. But,
Or do
it is what
tag
it is.
team or women's or intercontinental, like switch it up and
Yeah.
do different stuff with it, which they kind of do now. They've done that a few times. They've done a
Mm-hmm.
women's one, which is cool, and they've done a tag team one, so that's nice. But Elimination Chamber, it's always I'd say it's always entertaining, but you rarely are like, oh, that was 5 stars. That was like an amazing Elimination
Yeah.
Chamber match. There's some that are definitely better than others, but it's never like the best. And I know a lot of the wrestlers, it's not their favorite match to do either. But it's just one of those things. It's on the calendar every year, so you gotta just do what you can with it.
Exactly. And wasn't that the last pay-per-view we had in 2020 with fans? I think it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, so I've seen this match and the other Elimination Chamber match and the Cena versus Batista. I've never seen this whole show. So, but you wrote in your notes, you watched it on 24/7.
Yeah, I'm sure I did during this
Yeah.
time. I didn't watch it live, but I have seen it. Hadn't seen it in a long time. This one's going to be our main event of the night, the SmackDown Chamber, and we've got kind of the standard pay-per-view commentary team for the past few months is going to be Cole and King and Stryker. So Todd Grisham left out, hung out to dry, and Stryker's there with Cole and King. It doesn't really make any sense.
This is a SmackDown match. All SmackDown competitors. Why do King and Cole have anything to do with it? I don't get it.
Beats me.
I'm glad it's not just Stryker by himself or something, but I don't know. It was confusing to me.
Well, Rey Mysterio is going to make our first entrance here, so he's going to be stuck in a pod to start the match. John Morrison will be next. Jericho is third, and as Michael Cole points out, this is his 6th ever Elimination Chamber match, and he's never won one of these here. but he has won the world title in this city before. So interesting there. And then The Undertaker is going to be out fourth to go into the final chamber pod. And this is a historic milestone for our podcast here because this is the last time he will ever enter a match holding not just the world title, but any belt of any kind for that matter. So, 156 episodes. We've covered multiple world title reigns, hardcore title, tag team title. No U.S. title. Never got that one.
Nope. Nope.
But it just shows you how far we've come and, man, how little we've got left. That he's got no more world title reigns left in him.
No more any kind of titles at all. But again, he doesn't need them. But this was his last one, and we'll talk more about that at the end here. But, very historic moment here for Talking Taker, as we'll never get to touch on another title match with him having it, So, anyway, now Taker comes out. He's going to be the fourth man in the pod, the last guy in the pod. And, I mean, thank God, because what's about to happen. Because if he'd had to start this match, I don't know how he would have. So he's coming out, and if you've watched the network version, it's edited, but so you don't see the burn happen, but he walks through the flame and literally walks through the flame. The flame on the ramp shoots up as he's walking through it. And they had a clip of this on the Last Ride documentary. I don't remember which episode, but and I think Michelle even talks about it. Like, he's literally got second-degree burns, and he's standing there in the pod the rest of the time going through this match. So it is just crazy to see, but that makes him move a little faster for this match. So talk about his entrance here that he's going to make.
Well, like you said, I wasn't sure, but it does appear that the video is edited a bit on the network because you don't actually see the flame go off. If you go on YouTube and search for this, you can see some fan cam or cell phone video footage of the flame just engulfing him, and then he just runs to the ring. He throws his jacket and his hat and the belt off, and Michael Cole on commentary is like, man, we've just never seen this intensity from The Undertaker. We've never seen him approach the ring like this, and it's like...
And he's not wasted any time. The Undertaker normally takes his time coming to the ring, but he's ripped his jacket off. He stormed into the chamber, hell-bent on defending his world title.
Yeah, because he's on fire. His skin, his flesh is burning.
It's just, I mean, he doesn't break character, though.
It's amazing.
It fits him. He's been intense. He's been beating people up. He's been this whole last part of his title reign, he's just been a very intense guy. And this fits it. And Cole's talking about, I've never seen him enter a match like this. Well, yeah, he's never been on fire, but, it doesn't change the narrative of the story. It fits perfectly, and I have no idea how this dude does it, but he's a true artist, man, and just his dedication. Again, we talked on the Last Ride episodes, he doesn't know us anything else. He didn't know us this night. He could have laid down broken character, and nobody would have cared.
No.
He's a freaking Undertaker. He's earned so much grace from all of us. He doesn't owe us anything, but, he's a freaking man, and I'm just singing William Regal's theme song in my hand. He's a man. Such a man.
Yeah, his first thought was not to pull a Sin Cara and say, I broke my thumb. I can't compete anymore. He went in and got in the pod with second-degree burns, and it's just that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to go in there and do it. I'm not going to lay down, and I'll figure it out from there. I don't know. We don't see it. I think it's on the Last Ride or somewhere else, but all the referees and officials bring him bottles of water. Yeah. And so he's just pouring bottles of water on himself to try to cool himself down. You can see him in the corner during somebody's entrance here in a few minutes, and he's just got his head down and just bent over in the corner, oh my God. I am in pain. But it's just
the skull's on fire.
That fits for this, man. It's amazing, man. And you see it during the match. His skin is just red during this match. What a man, like you said.
Yeah. It's incredible to me. Like, I don't even understand. And I remember Jericho talking on his podcast. That's the first time I ever heard of it was on Jericho's podcast. And then I went back and watched YouTube clips. But like Jericho was talking about, like, I don't remember which episode. It doesn't matter. But like he's like, this guy lit on fire and still came to the ring and still went through the. I mean, he wasn't even. He's into the end. Like it's just it's crazy, man. So anyway, great stuff, man. Just great dedication.
If I burn my tongue on my dinner, like I'm done for the night. Like, I can't imagine wrestling 30 minutes with second-degree burns all over my body. Like,
yeah.
I want to call in sick from work if I burn my tongue. Like, man, this guy. He's the man. He's the man.
Yeah, he took Shinedown up on their, dare you to tell me to walk through fire thing. He's going at it. So, well, CM Punk's out next. He's got the Straight Edge Society with him. And he cuts a promo or sermon on the way down to the ring. He's like, again, I don't think at this point he knows Taker's been lit on fire. I don't know if the other guys, I think Jericho mentions he knew Taker lit on fire, but is what it is. But I don't know if Punk knew,
Right.
But he's like, I hope the symbolism isn't lost on you because inside those 4 cages are extremely weak people. And just like everyone here is locked inside of a prison of addiction. And this is the part where you're talking about you could see Taker bent over like, oh, Mother Goose, like, it's on fire. You're probably saying more unpleasant things than Mother Goose, but I'm just saying. But, he says, the 4 of you are locked inside the Elimination Chamber with me, and so tomorrow when you're nursing your wounds, again, doesn't know that Punk or that Taker's literally going to be nursing wounds tomorrow. But he's like, I want you to remember that I saved you, and don't blame. Or excuse me, I just wrote my notes like I don't blame Taker for bending over here because he got second-degree burns. So, but that means the last participant is going to be R-Truth.
What's up?
What's up?
Y'all know what time it is. Dude, maybe the best entrance song of all time.
One of the best.
It's top 10 without question, man.
So my wife doesn't care a lick about wrestling, but she loves Archer's theme song. If she hears it, she digs it. Yeah, she knows. She likes him and Kofi a lot. So
hey, man, anyway. Can't blame her.
She has a type, I guess.
He's gonna start things off with CM Punk here in his first Elimination Chamber, and they go back and forth. Punk hits a drop kick. He gets a quick cover. Punk whips Truth into the corner. Truth does that backflip out, does a split, gets a 2 count on Punk. Truth clotheslines Punk onto the outside, onto that steel grate, and then tosses him into the chains. And insufferable fool Matt Stryker says,
the shrapnel just goes everywhere.
And I just wrote, no, it does not. There is no shrapnel from Punk being whipped into the chain. None of the chain broke off. There is no shrapnel going anywhere, you moron.
Well, I thought you were going to say insufferable fool Matt Stryker calls Serena a concubine.
That would be Serena. That's right. CM Punk's Straight Edge Society is concubine.
Point as well.
He did do that.
Yeah, both of those
Yikes.
things.
Do you know what that word means?
Right. CM Punk's concubine out there. Oh, the shrapnel goes everywhere. No, neither one of those things are okay. No, one's totally wrong and one is wildly inappropriate.
Yeah, it might have been true, but it was inappropriate.
Yeah. Anyway. R-Truth gets tosses Punk into the side of the chamber, and Deanie throws Punk into Ray's pod, and then Truth hits a standing senton on the Punk. He's like on the top rope, and he just flips onto him like a molly go round.
That was awesome, man.
Yeah, that just yikes, man. That was crazy. Punk gets thrown face first into the chamber twice, and then R-Truth gets a reverse Russian leg sweep in the middle of the ring. So he's just really going at it right here.
He's getting his spots in, man.
Getting his crap in, yeah. Because he ain't long for this world.
He goes for that corkscrew clothesline that he does, and Punk ducks it. Punk connects with the GTS, and Truth is gone. Just like that before, within like 3 minutes, man, he's out of this chamber. So, tough luck, Truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's all to build up this sermon that Punk's going to get, much like the Royal Rumble. So Serena gives Punk a microphone, and he uses his time before the next pod opens to get into Undertaker's face, saying you need to pray that before your pod door opens, because when you come out, I'll make you tap out just like before. And Punk goes over to John Morrison and says, I'll prove that your decadent rock star life won't get you anywhere, which was funny. And then countdown hits, and Rey Mysterio is out next for these guys to continue their rivalry.
Yeah, Ray comes out and Punk goes right at him. He hits Punk with a springboard senton and then a springboard crossbody for 2. This part's just wild and fast-paced right here. I don't know if we can keep up with everything. So Punk gets a roll-up. Ray kicks him in the head. Ray ducks Punk and drops him on the middle rope. He runs for the 619, but Punk's going to turn it into a power slam instead. So you don't see that intercepted a lot, and I'm kind of glad he didn't hit it this quick out of the gate. So literally out of the gate.
Yeah, Punk goes for GTS, but Ray rolls into Hurricane Rana for a 2 count. They go outside onto the grating, and Mysterio goes for another Hurricane Rana, but Punk catches him and then kind of bounces him off of the chains and off of the pod and everything, and covers him for a 2 count. And then Punk, sort of a throwback to WCW, kind of lawn darts Mysterio head first through the turnbuckle, through the ropes, into one of the empty pods. So that was a fun, unique spot.
Yeah, it was. And he covers him for a 2 again there. And get ready for lots of Hurricane Ranas the rest of the match. So it's going to be he's like spamming that move, Ray. So the Punk puts Ray on the top rope, and he fights out and knocks Punk off. And Ray climbs up to the top of his pod because, why not jump up from up there? So CM Punk climbs up there and gets Ray in a go-to-sleep position, but Ray powers out and kicks Punk's feet out from him and hits a Hurricane Rana from the top rope onto the outside. So Punk flips all the way from the top turnbuckle to the steel grating, which is just nasty to think about. Especially if you're not the one winning this match. You're taking all this abuse, man. Punk rolls in the ring, and Ray drops a dime on him to cover him for the 3, and Punk's eliminated, as he should be, after a nasty move like that.
Right, absolutely. So, yeah, we've got 2 guys eliminated here within the first 2 segments of this match. Rey Mysterio left standing here. The 10-second countdown starts up immediately, and Chris Jericho is going to be the next guy out. And so, obviously, a throwback to WCW, a throwback. They've had a rivalry going on for a while now here as well. Mysterio just kind of flips and flies around Jericho, but Jericho takes him down with a clothesline. Jericho heaves Ray up, pancakes him back down to the ground, goes for the lion salt and misses it, but Ray connects with the 619 instead. Jericho rolls to the outside, and Ray jumps from the top rope to the outside. Jericho moves, Ray lands on the chain, Spider-Man style, and Jericho just yanks him down onto the steel grating.
Yeah, just face first, just nasty bump. So then Jericho's going to whip Ray into the wall of the chamber several times, and then he rolls Ray in and hits a plancha over the top rope for a 2 count, which you don't see Jericho doing that too much. But and at this point, we see a close up of Taker looking on at the match, and he's intense, but he's on fire. So, but Jericho chokes Ray on the middle rope and then stands on his back, almost like a young Steve Austin used to do back in the day. And King makes a great point here, saying that Jericho should quit taking your time and just go ahead and eliminate Ray, because you still got Taker to come in there. So, I just thought, actually, great point by the King.
Well, Jericho, he goes for his finisher. He locks in the walls of Jericho, but Ray refuses to tap here as the clock starts counting down, and John Morrison will come in next, and doesn't make a lot of sense. He makes the save for Ray. It's an elimination match. He probably should have just let Jericho keep the walls of Jericho on him, but he helps his friend out, and he goes wild, hitting drop kicks on both guys. He tosses Jericho out of the ring and goes after Ray. Morrison tosses Ray onto the grating on the outside, and Ray hops back up, but Morrison hits him with a big kick to the face. Jericho gets a roll-up on Morrison for 2. And then Morrison hops up on the top rope, but Ray hops up and throws him into one of the pods. And then Ray goes after Jericho, and Jericho flips him up out onto one of the grates. So it's just action going on. It's pretty much nonstop for the whole match, which I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a lot of movement in the ring, a lot of action going on. Jericho's going to slam Ray back first into the wall of the chamber, and then Cole's like, I recommend someone to eliminate somebody before Taker gets in this match. So it's just the voice of reason, King.
He's
and
not
Cole
wrong.
Here. No. And then JoMo runs and parkours over the top turnbuckle onto the outside onto Jericho and Ray. And my Striker calls it the Flying Kong. He goes, with a Flying Kong. And what does that even mean? And a little earlier he called a regular guillotine.
Skipped over. Go back to that.
Back up real quick. This is before JoMo comes in. Matt Striker, Ray's got a guillotine basically, a front guillotine on Jericho, and Matt Striker goes, that's a Golden Miende de Dragon, the Dragon Sleeper by Ray. No, it's not. A Dragon Sleeper is from the back. Ultimo Dragon did it every week on Nitro. Taker did it. He took care of business.
Taker care of business. That's
exactly.
We have a T-shirt.
This guy does it. Yeah, I wore it to work last Friday. And this guy does it, and he calls it a Dragon Sleeper. And I can't take this guy. He's killing me. We got to get rid of him. Commentary.
Please, somebody take him out.
Oh.
No,
anyway.
I put the same thing in my note. I thought it happened later in the match. I skipped over it. But it was completely wrong.
Yeah.
100% wrong.
Yeah. And the Flying Kong, too. So, anyway.
I don't know what that is.
No. JoMo hits a standing shooting star press at this point. That's where we're at now. So, doesn't get a 3 count on Ray. Ray is kicking out of a lot of stuff. He hits a Hurricane Rana, and JoMo lands in the middle rope. Ray runs at him, but Jericho comes in, intercepts him, and hits him with a spinning backbreaker over his shoulder. So, for a 2 count. Taker is pacing around the pod at this point.
He is ready to get in the match here. Ray goes for 619. Jericho catches him, like you said, spinning backbreaker. Ray gets Morrison on the top rope and goes for a Hurricane Rana, but Morrison holds on. He hits Starship Pain on Mysterio, gets the 1-2-3 and eliminates him. So now we're down to JoMo and Jericho. They're the last 2 left. Undertaker is the only man left in his pod. 3 men left in this match. JoMo and Jericho go back and forth for a second. Jericho locks in the walls of Jericho. The countdown starts up, and Undertaker starts losing his mind. He's exactly. He is slamming on the pod as the countdown goes on. And look, we will continue to bash Matt Striker for as long as we can on the show, but we are fair and balanced here on Talking Taker.
Sure.
I did like his line here as he says,
This is Hell's Kitchen, and the Undertaker is about to eat your life.
for every one line that is great, he gets 100 terrible ones. But he does get one good one in there every once in a while. I give him that. I popped for that.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that, man. And I want to say, I don't know, we don't have any inside information, but I don't know that was the way Taker was supposed to enter this match. You know what I'm saying?
No way.
I think he's that jacked just because he got lit on fire.
He's trying to take his mind
through all of this, and I'm finally getting in the freaking match. So I'm just boom, boom, boom. He's just punching it, man. He looks like, I don't know, man. He is enraged. But yeah, that line from Stryker is golden, man. I love it there. So Taker comes in and just straight for Jericho. He splashes him in the corner. Snake Eyes, big boot. Clotheslines JoMo over the top rope. Leg drop to Jericho, 2 count. Immediately signals for a choke slam and goozles Jericho. And then JoMo comes in. It's a double goozle. But they're going to break it up here. It's a double suplex.
Michael Cole says, Undertaker came in this match breathing fire. He has no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you said, they are able to reverse this, and they hit a double suplex on Undertaker. Morrison and Jericho do. And then they team up and double clothesline Taker out of the ring. Morrison turns his back on Jericho and rolls up Jericho for a 2 count. Jericho backflips Morrison onto the outside, onto the grate, and Jericho's got a bit of a cut opened up on his face, so he's got a little accidental color on him. Jericho goes after Undertaker, but Undertaker gets angry with him. And so Jericho, in fantastic heel fashion, tries to run into one of the pods and close the door up. But Undertaker actually gets in there before he can close the door and just unloads on Jericho and actually shoves the chamber door and rips it off its hinges. I don't think on purpose. I don't think that was supposed to happen.
No, because they use it later. Yeah, he's just full of adrenaline and brute force, and he just rips the door off, like out of the back side of the chamber. So it's crazy. But yeah, as he is unloading on Jericho, the fans are just lighting up at this. He's on another level right now. And I don't know if he was supposed to be this height, but
it's adrenaline, man.
Awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. But he strolls back in the ring and then splashes JoMo in the corner twice, hits a snake eyes, runs for the big boot. But JoMo comes off with a springboard kick, like the disaster kick kind of to Taker, but he hits him with his injured ankle, and that's kind of flaring up and acting up here. But so he goes up to the top rope and goes for Starship Pain, but Taker gets his knees up to block it.
Yeah, that lets Jericho start to go after Undertaker, but Undertaker sits up, and Jericho goes back to the pod and holds the door shut again. Undertaker tosses Morrison out onto the grate and shoves Morrison into the glass right in front of Jericho. Nice little spot there.
Yeah.
Taker lifts Morrison up for the last ride, but Jericho comes running out of the chamber, running into Taker. JoMo hops off and hangs onto the cage. Jericho runs Taker into the pod, and then JoMo comes flying off the chains onto Jericho. So, like I said, it's all action here in this match. It's very entertaining. John Morrison holding his own here in the main event. It's kind of a proving ground for him. I know you and I have both always been fans of him from Tough Enough days and through Eminem and everything. It's kind of unbelievable he was never WWE champion, Impact champion, Lucha Underground, all that sort of stuff, but never quite reached the pinnacle in WWE. But I mean, he looks great here. He's a star.
Oh yeah, and I think he's great nowadays too. I love what he's doing nowadays. But anyway, all three guys are down after that, and the crowd's chanting for Taker. They're all into him, even though JoMo's getting good cheers. They want Taker to win and go on WrestleMania. So Taker hits a knee to Jericho, John Morrison does, and he covers him for two, and John Morrison goes for a springboard off the rope, but Taker goozles him and lifts him up from the inside of the ring and choke slams him over the top rope to the steel grating on the outside. And then he just drags John Morrison in and covers him with the classic pin, folds his arms across his chest. Usually does that after a tombstone, but does it after a choke slam here. So eliminates John Morrison. Not a bad day when you get eliminated by Undertaker. That's always it's fine.
No, man, definitely. He gets put over here. He had a better night than R-Truth had.
Golly, yeah.
But, hey, it's business time now. Because Undertaker pulls the straps down here at this point, and it's him and Jericho, the final two. Jericho tries to scurry away, but Taker calls him into the ring. And they take their time kind of resetting here, coming towards each other. And Undertaker nails some stiff shots onto Jericho. But Charlie Brown, he goes for that running big knee in the corner. He hits it the first time. He goes for the second. Jericho pulls the football out of the way, and Undertaker crotches himself on the top rope for the approximately 100th time in a row.
Yeah, exactly. And it's without fail. It's going to happen. So just stop doing that move. Just like Ric Flair. He never learned to quit going on the top rope. Like he just always went out there.
It's his thing.
But Jericho gets him on top turnbuckle and actually hits a superplex. Taker rolls over to his side here, just looks deflated. And I wrote my notes. I have no clue how he's going in this match. Like,
oh my God,
you're literally getting burned, and your adrenaline is blowing you up, and you've got to be gassed from just how hard he's been going. Even though he hadn't been in here, he's been in here, at the end here, but still, he's been going hard the whole time. So,
think about when you get a sunburn and someone touches your back, or slaps you on the chest or on the arm or something. That's what Undertaker is doing in a wrestling match. He's burned all over his body, and people are chopping him and kicking him, and he's bumping on the ring. I can't even put into words.
I know, it's crazy, man. This guy, but he's gonna goozle goozle Jericho and go for a choke slam. But Jericho reverses and rolls him into a walls of Jericho. And then Taker's going to reverse out of that and get him attempt a Hell's Gate. And then Jericho's going to reverse out of that into a walls of Jericho in the very middle of the ring. So I really like that series of events right there. And again, you don't often see Taker in peril in a submission, but he is here in the middle of the ring too.
Undertaker, of course, he's refusing to tap out, and he ends up being able to roll it over and hook in that Hell's Gate, but he can't quite get it in all the way. And Jericho moves to the ropes to get some leverage up out of it. Undertaker sits up. He goes for a tombstone, but Jericho flips out of it, and he hits the code breaker. He goes for the cover, but Undertaker kicks out. Jericho backs Undertaker into the corner, and he makes a classic mistake of Undertaker's opponents.
Yeah.
And goes for 10 punches in the corner. And of course, Undertaker is going to hoist him up into the last ride. But Undertaker is exhausted, and he falls back, and he can't quite go for the cover here. So he's going to get back up to his feet and do the throat slash. And then he is going to be met with a huge surprise.
Yeah, so the way the camera is framed, looking, you see Taker doing the throat slash, and then you see down on the floor, one of the greats of the outside, behind where Taker's standing, lifts up like a Ninja Turtle's coming out of a manhole or something. It just lifts up and moves over to the side, and Shawn Michaels emerges from underneath the Elimination Chamber. So Taker goes to pick up Jericho, and he turns around, and when he does, Shawn Michaels just is in the ring, and he nails Taker with his sweet chin music, just out of nowhere. Taker hits the mat, and Jericho's got this very surprised look on his face, like, what the heck just happened? But I'm going to capitalize because I'm Jericho. And he covers Taker, and Shawn just, once he kicked Taker, he just looks at him on the mat, and he just stares at him. So Jericho covers Taker, and Mike Chioda counts a 3 count, and Jericho has pinned The Undertaker at 35 minutes and 40 seconds to win the World Heavyweight title for, I think it was like, the 6th time at this point?
Something like that, yeah. As Shawn Michaels, like you said, he doesn't move until the pay-per-view's over. Who knows how long he stood there after the show went off the air, but he super kicked Undertaker and just had his head down, staring at him, looking over him, his prone body the entire time, never taking his gaze off of him, as Shawn Michaels has cost The Undertaker the world title in order to goad him into facing him at WrestleMania. What a brilliant finish. What a creative way to get to this match. You know, they teased it in so many different ways. They said, we're going to do it, and took it away from you, and said, we might do it this way, and took it away from you. And so they come up with this. I just, kudos, man. Round of applause.
Oh, yeah.
We crap on them for all their stupid stuff, but this is really, really brilliant storytelling. No one saw this coming.
No.
Fantastically done.
Yeah. People thought it would be Taker and Shawn for the world title at Mania this year. People pretty much knew we're going to get there, but how are we going to get there? And probably thought it was going to be the world title match, maybe main event or whatever. But I don't know, man. It's just, it's really, really excellent. And again, it never was about the title for Shawn. It was about defeating Taker at WrestleMania. It had nothing to do with the title last year. It's got nothing to do with it this year. So that wasn't ever his point. His point was, I can beat you at WrestleMania. I have to redeem myself for last year. I made that one mistake, and we'll get more into that next week. But anyway, just perfect ending here to this show. Please go watch this match. It's worth it to see Taker go up in flames and still wrestle.
Exactly. No, it's really good. All the Elimination Chamber matches we've covered are good. I don't know if they're great, but they're good. They're very entertaining. Lots of action, lots of fun. It's fun to see Taker in there with John Morrison for pretty much the only time you'll ever see that. Yeah. And just a spectacular finish that nobody saw coming. Shawn cost Undertaker the world title in order to force him to make him angry enough to challenge him at WrestleMania. It sets up that WrestleMania 26 match perfectly. And that'll be next week's show. Can't wait to cover that. We hope you guys will join us as we keep rolling on to the last ride next week. WrestleMania 26. Put it in your calendar. Make time for us. We are going to go in depth into that one and cover that from every angle, every detail. Is it as good as WrestleMania 25? Is it better? Does it live up to it? We'll give our opinions on all of that. I'm excited to go back and watch it. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm excited to revisit it.
It's going to be fun.
It is. Of course, we want to hear your comments about this week's episode, so hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with your thoughts on this Elimination Chamber. Want to remind you that we've got our special edition episode with St. Ridley Santos, where he and I went through the entire Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H saga. So if you haven't listened to that, or if you want to revisit it before the WrestleMania 26 match, a perfect time to do that. And I didn't have any comments yet from the social media about this week's episode, but I did have one for the Rumble, last week's episode, that came in after we recorded. From Watch Along Tommy, our boy, Watch Along Wrestling. He was actually at that Royal Rumble from New York to Atlanta. Went to that Royal Rumble. Oh. He says, it was so random. A friend of mine and I were legit talking on Thursday night, and on a complete whim, booked a trip from New York to Atlanta for this show. It was my first time in Atlanta, and I couldn't believe how into everything WWE the whole city was. He says, from the second we landed, there were fans staked out in the airport with signs. And when I asked what was up, the fans told me, we just want to welcome the WWE superstars to our city and thank them for coming. He said that the CNN Center had wrestling fans all weekend too, and it was just very cool to see. So we lived here in Georgia, and we didn't go, but Tommy came from New York to that Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Well, I echo his sentiments. So Atlanta is a great wrestling town. It does welcome wrestling. We're the home of WCW, literally the CNN Center, like he just said. But we hadn't had that since it folded in 2001, and we always welcome WWE. And I really wish we'd had another WrestleMania there, because the one we got was fun. We'll get to it, but there's definitely left some room for improvement for certain things. And the only WrestleMania ever from Atlanta, and it was, we got Snooki. I'm just gonna say that. So.
And Michael Cole.
And Miguel Cole, yeah, for a 40-minute Iron Man match. Oh, golly. Yeah, so we'll get there eventually.
We'll talk about that here in just a few weeks. But
actually, just a couple
weeks to go. I want to thank everybody who reached out and gave their condolences about me losing our dog last week. A lot of kind comments. I won't go through all of them, but thanks to everybody who reached out on social media for that. Really do appreciate it. It meant a lot from you guys. And special thanks to JV from the Bottom Line podcast, who picked up a Taker Easy Talking Taker t-shirt to support the show. Thank you, JV. So Bottom Line podcast, they are right in the middle of 2001, and you and I hopefully are going to join them here next week on their podcast for a special watch along episode for a couple of Undertaker, Stone Cold, Steve Austin matches. So go subscribe and go listen to them and go check them out. We always have a blast when we join them on the show. It's always fun, so we look forward to that. That'll be out sometime next week. And man, that's all I got.
Well, okay, so this is Taker's last world title run, and it comes to a close. Comes to a close here,
right?
This is the last time he entered the match as a world champion, and this is it could not coincidentally, it's the last time he exits the match, losing his world title. So, but it's been 19 years since he won it in October, right? So almost 19 years to the day, like when he won his final world title, and top of his game, wasn't a spring chicken anymore, but still was great. And there's a guy on the current roster, I'm probably giving it away when I say he's been here 19 years, but there's a guy on the current roster I could see, it wouldn't be mad, was the champion. He's in the same type of light. He's been there for almost 20 years. He's doing some of his best work he's ever done. And I would not be mad at this point if he won the title, just like I wasn't mad in 2009 when Taker won this title. Like, it was just like, sometimes you look at guys like, oh, it's been 20 years. Why doesn't he need a championship? Well, this was kind of cool for Taker to get a final run with one. So you probably know what I'm talking about, but you know what I'm talking about? The guy that's really doing his best work, and he's been there for a long time.
I would guess, my first guess is that you're saying Edge. But, I mean, there is a few guys. I mean, there's a couple guys on the roster right now, like maybe Randy Orton or maybe MVP even. I don't know. Who are you saying?
Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton.
Okay.
Again, we've talked endlessly on here about how we despise this guy for years.
Yeah.
And I'll say since 2016, I've become a huge fan of his. And in this year, 2020, with no fans, when Edge came back, it lit a fire under Randy Orton. And his current run he's doing in WWE is some of the best stuff I've ever seen him do. He is absolutely phenomenal. He's killing it. And he's facing Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. Love Drew, but I wouldn't be mad if he beat Drew and gets one more title reign here at 20 years in the business, Wouldn't be mad if Drew had to chase him, but it just really reminded me of Taker at this point. Because again, I think Randy Orton's only 41 or something, 43 years old. He's been there 20 years already almost. It's crazy, but this Taker run reminded me of just some of the best stuff he's doing with Randy Orton here. I don't know. I just thought about it, and like I said, I wouldn't be mad if Randy Orton won. I can't believe 2006 Travis. Can't believe 2020 Travis would ever sign off on that. But I love this guy. I even went back to watch him versus Big Show from Raw a few weeks ago in that match, and he is phenomenal, dude. He's incredible. Randy Orton is really good. Anyway,
he's almost overrated for so long that he's kind of underrated in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
you put Ric Flair with him, and Ric Flair doesn't do anything for him. Really, I'm saying, seriously, having him with Flair doesn't do anything for Randy Orton right now. He doesn't even need Flair. It's just, I don't know. He's on another level right now, just like Taker was back then. So I don't know. I just thought I want to give a little love to the Randy Orton show here, and just we'll never do a Talking Orton, but anyway. I can't do it the first 14 years of his career.
No. Yeah. But absolutely, he has he has finally lived up to his potential. And, we definitely hated him for a long time, but we have come around on him. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, I would. Undertaker is retired, but if he were to come out of retirement, I could see him and Randy Orton having a banger. They could, they would know how to work a successful match with each other, work around each other's weaknesses. So I would never have thought I would have said that a long time ago.
No, and really protected finishers. Were slow to the ring, methodical, not a lot of flashiness. I don't know. It just really reminded me of Orton nowadays. Anyway, that's enough Orton talk. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, tell us what you think. Do you agree with that? That a guy 20 years later, like Orton, could win a world title and shine like Taker did here in his last run. So I'm not saying Orton needs it, but I wouldn't be mad if he had it. So anyway, if you were there on this night in where was it? Oh, St. Louis, Missouri. Speaking of Randy Orton, if you were there, where his hometown is, let us know from the Scott Trade Center. Let us know what you thought about this, about R-Truth getting his moment in the sun, but not interacting with Taker. So we might talk about him on a future episode about what dream matches we could have had on pay-per-view. What's up? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let us know if you were there, what you thought about it, and other than that, stay safe and take her easy.
I believe the end is near for Jericho. Oh, Shawn Michaels. Oh, my God, Shawn Michaels. Sweet chin music. There's no disqualifications. Sweet chin music. Do it. Oh, my God. Chris Jericho is the new world champion. He's going to WrestleMania. Here is your winner and the new world heavyweight champion, Chris Jericho. This is unbelievable. Shawn Michaels. championship.